Ever wonder what happens when, that carefully crafted facade of a celebrity interview just crumbles?
Yeah, those moments where something real, maybe uncomfortable, breaks through the usual script.
Exactly. Like imagine a huge star on a big talk show, and instead of the laughs and plugs, you get this genuine, awkward clash.
And what's so fascinating, I think, is how those moments can suddenly show you the real mechanics underneath. Celebrity culture, late night TV stuff, usually hidden.
Totally. So today we're doing a deep dive into this one account. It's titled Depp Kimmel Confrontation, Talk Show Ambush.
Okay.
And it promises a look at a reported incident that it calls shocking and unprecedented. Paints a picture of an appearance that supposedly went way off the rails into really adversarial territory.
Right. And it's crucial to remember this is one account, one perspective. Our goal isn't to say this definitely happened exactly like this, but more to explore what it claims happened and what that might tell us about the whole celebrity interview environment.
So let's set the scene based on this source. It's the Jimmy Kimmel Live studio. Big audience, lots of buzz, because Johnny Depp is coming out.
Okay.
He's there to talk about a new movie, one some critics were calling a kind of comeback, a career renaissance even. So, high stakes.
Absolutely. An appearance like that, especially framed as a comeback, it's usually very carefully managed.
Right.
Both sides have goals. The host wants good TV, maybe a viral clip. The guest, well, they want to promote their thing, manage their image.
But this account says things felt off. Almost from the moment Depp walked out. He gets thunderous applause, and he's got his signature eclectic style, waves, all that.
Standard entrance.
Yeah. But the source notes, Kimmel's welcome, while it sounded friendly on the surface, had this weird vibe. His smile never quite reached his eyes. An unmistakable edge to his voice.
That observation about the host's nonverbals, that's interesting. Because in these really produced settings, tiny deviations can signal something's up, right? Raises the question. Was this perceived edge deliberate or maybe just, nerves in a tense moment? Hard to say from just this description.
Well, the first exchange seems normal enough. Kimmel welcomes him, mentions it's been 3 years since he was last on.
Okay.
Depp responds warmly, says he's grateful. But then Kimmel drops this line. 3 years is a long time, especially in your case. And the audience laughs, but the source says it had this uncomfortable edge, like they knew what he was hinting at.
Yeah, that comment definitely brings Depp's well-publicized personal issues from those years right into the room, doesn't it? Without directly naming them yet. It sort of lays the groundwork. And the audience reaction suggests they picked up on that subtext immediately.
So Depp tries to pivot, bring it back to the movie. He says something like, life happens, but I'm grateful to be here discussing the work. He mentions the film meant a lot to him.
Trying to regain control of the narrative.
Right. But the source claims Kimmel was dismissive. Waved a hand. Sure, the movie, we'll get to that. And then immediately pivoted to, quote, the more colorful aspects of your personal life recently.
Wow. Okay, so that alleged dismissal of the film, the whole reason Depp is supposedly there, that's a pretty significant claim.
Yeah.
It points to that potential conflict, right? Guest wants to talk about the project. Host maybe thinks the personal drama is better TV, better ratings.
The source describes Depp having this momentary surprise, a flicker of discomfort, before he kind of compose himself. Apparently, Depp generally prefers the focus on the art, believes the work should speak for itself.
That's a common feeling among artists, isn't it? That the creation is what matters, not the gossip. But, public fascination with celebrity lives constantly clashes with that desire. It's a built-in tension.
But Kimmel, according to this, just pushed ahead, laughed it off, said something like, come on, Johnny, we're all friends here. The audience wants the real story. And the vibe in the studio apparently changed then. Got uncomfortably quiet. The source even uses the word aggressive about Kimmel's approach.
Yeah.
More than just light banter.
That phrase, the audience wants, it gets used a lot in media, doesn't it? To justify digging into sensitive stuff.
Yeah.
But it's subjective. What a host thinks the audience wants, or maybe what the producers want, might be very different from what the guest is okay with, or what was agreed beforehand.
So Depp tries again, steers back to the film character, this misunderstood outcast.
Okay.
But Kimmel cuts him off, supposedly, and says, typecasting, wouldn't you say? And the source mentions an audible intake of breath from the audience.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty direct. Linking his movie role straight to his public persona, maybe a slightly mocking way.
Seemed like it.
It feels like a loaded question, designed maybe to get a rise out of him or just reinforce a certain image.
Well, Depp apparently kept his cool, Talked about appreciating shows that allow for genuine conversation built on respect. The source really highlights that word, respect.
Makes sense. He's trying to set a boundary.
But Kimmel allegedly just moves on, starts flipping through notes, brings up supposed erratic behavior on set,
What?
claims he has it on good authority that Depp's lateness cost millions. The audience discomfort, the source says, was palpable, like they were watching an ambush.
Bringing up specific professional conduct allegations, that really ups the ante.
Yeah.
And using an unnamed good authority, it makes it impossible for Depp to really refute it right there. It puts him in a really tough spot.
Depp calmly denied it, apparently. Talked about filmmaking being collaborative, his respect for the crew. Kimmel reportedly pushed for a direct denial, like a yes or no. But Depp deflected again, contrasting creative aspects with unsubstantiated rumors.
Smart move, trying not to get bogged down in specifics he can't disprove on the spot.
Then this tense silence. Kimmel forces a laugh, apparently has a quick word with his producer off mic.
Okay, little strategy huddle.
Maybe. Because then Kimmel doubles down, asks about Depp's relationship with substances and how he maintained a, quote, vibrant lifestyle while still working. The source flat out calls this inappropriate, describes the studio atmosphere as super tense.
Yeah, repeatedly going after personal struggles, especially when the guest is clearly trying to move away from it. That feels like a deliberate choice by the host, according to this account. And that phrasing, vibrant lifestyle, seems designed to be, provocative, hinting at past troubles.
Depp's response, apparently, was that his private struggles are just that private.
Fair enough.
And he brought up the message it sends, especially to young people, if personal difficulties become public spectacle. Some people in the audience apparently applauded that.
Trying to frame his reluctance in a broader context, give it some weight beyond just personal discomfort.
But Kimmel, the source says, just dismissed the applause. Retorted something like, well, isn't that convenient? Hide behind concern for the youth.
Ouch. Cynical.
And claimed he was just asking what everyone's thinking. But the source notes the audience looked uncomfortable with that.
That justification, I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. It's such a common defense for pushing boundaries, isn't it?
Yeah, it puts the burden on anyone objecting.
Exactly. It implies you're the one being weird or overly sensitive for not wanting to discuss it.
So Depp then showed a bit more edge. Said he wasn't aware he was hiding anything. He came in good faith to talk about the film.
Okay, pushing back a bit more directly now.
And then Kimmel apparently dismissed the film again. Said people tune in for juicy details, not some art house film.
Wow, that's quite dismissive of Depp's work.
And that's when Depp, according to the source, turned directly to the audience. Bypassed Kimmel.
Oh, what did he say?
He asked them, is that what your audience wants, or is that what you want? Aimed right at Kimmel.
Ooh, okay. That's a power move.
The source says you could feel the dynamic in the room shift right then.
I bet. He's directly challenging Kimmel's justification, appealing over his head to the very people Kimmel claimed to be speaking for. Puts Kimmel on the spot.
And immediately after that, Kimmel abruptly calls for a quick break.
Timing seems significant there.
Right, but the tension didn't just vanish during the commercials. The source claims people in the front rows could see Kimmel and his producer having a pretty heated discussion. Depp just sat there.
So, managing the fallout or planning the next move?
Who knows?
Yeah.
But when they came back on air, Kimmel had plastered on a rejuvenated smile. But the source adds there was this determined gleam in his eye.
Okay, ready for round two, maybe?
But Depp spoke first, corrected him immediately, said, actually, Jimmy, we haven't discussed the film at all yet.
Good point. Underscoring the fact that the interview hadn't done its supposed job.
So Kimmel gives this really brief, kind of dismissive summary of the film. The audience gave some uncomfortable laughs.
Like they knew it was awkward.
And Depp's response was measured. He said something like, every character has their own truth, and, quote, much like each interview apparently has its own agenda.
Ooh, subtle jab. Nicely done.
The source says Kimmel's face hardened. He then shifted again, back to personal attacks. Brought up Depp's reputation for being difficult on set.
Here we go again.
And he quotes an anonymous director, supposedly saying, Johnny exists in a different reality than the rest of us.
Anonymous again. That's a pattern here, isn't it? Using these unattributed claims.
It seems so. It adds negativity without needing proof or letting Depp respond to a specific person.
Exactly. It's damage by innuendo.
Depp apparently asked who said it. Kimmel just said, confidential source.
Of course.
Depp then made some comment about journalistic standards, even in late night.
Yeah.
kind of questioning the approach.
Pushing back on the method itself.
Kimmel seemed a bit tight, according to the source, moved on quickly, tried to link it back to the film's themes, public perception versus reality. Asked Depp about the irony, given his situation.
A loaded question, trying to use Depp's own film against him.
But Depp actually engaged with that, gave a thoughtful answer about how everyone experiences that gap between who they think they are and how others see them.
So even in this mess, he's still trying to have a substantive discussion about his work's themes.
Yeah, but Kimmel allegedly just shut that down sarcastically and pivoted again, this time to Depp's spending habits.
Seriously, spending habits now.
Yep. Mentioned specific things, cannons, islands, the famous wine budget. The source says the tension was tangible. Even Kimmel's band leader and producer looked worried.
That feels like scraping the bottom of the barrel for controversy, moving completely away from professional life or even the recent personal issues, just lifestyle criticism.
Depp acknowledged that the industry often feeds on controversy, but he pointed out the human cost.
A fair point.
Kimmel's reported comeback was sharp. That's rich coming from someone who makes millions playing pretend.
Oof. Dismissing his entire profession now, that feels personal.
Depp corrected him, said acting isn't pretending, it's about finding truth, and then added a little dig about the lack of truth in television sometimes.
Zing. Turning the tables a bit.
Kimmel apparently got visibly angry then. Flushed, the source says, losing his cool. But the audience, reportedly captivated. They were seeing something real, an authentic exchange.
Because the mask had slipped. On both sides, maybe, but definitely on the host's side, according to this account.
Kimmel then accused Depp of just philosophizing instead of being prepared for the interview.
Prepared for what, though? That's the question.
Exactly what Depp fired back. His reply was simple. I prepared to discuss the film. You prepared for something else entirely.
Boom. Direct hit.
Yeah.
Just laying bare the core conflict.
And that's when Kimmel allegedly dropped all pretense. Said, this is my show. I decide what we talk about here.
Pulling rank. The host asserting ultimate control.
Depp's counter. That is precisely the problem with entertainment today, isn't it? The belief that having power means you no longer need respect or integrity.
Wow. That's a powerful indictment. Way beyond just their personal spat.
The audience gasped, apparently. The producer was frantically signaling to cut to commercial.
Trying to stop the bleeding.
But Kimmel ignored him. Brought up Depp's history again, vaguely but menacingly. The whole studio went silent.
Just hanging there.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Depp's response was quiet, according to the source. Said he'd never claimed to be perfect, but he also doesn't judge others while pretending to welcome them.
Another pointed remark about the hosting itself.
Kimmel shot back angrily, something about being lectured on hospitality. Depp interrupted him then, just to highlight how Kimmel kept saying, my show.
Underscoring that possessiveness, that power dynamic Depp was critiquing.
The audience was just watching this raw, authentic conflict unfold. Kimmel demanded, what exactly are you implying?
He had to ask.
And Depp spelled it out. Said there's a difference between interviewing and ambushing, between conversation and confrontation, between entertainment and exploitation.
Drawing very clear lines in the sand about Kimmel's alleged conduct.
Kimmel pointed a finger, accused Depp of not showing courtesy.
Courtesy? After all that.
Depp just gave this sad smile, apparently, and echoed the word back. Is that what we're calling it now?
Devastatingly quiet response, wasn't it?
Yeah. Then the producer actually came out on stage. Kimmel violently shrugged him off and just announced, I think we're done here.
Just pulled the plug.
Depp calmly said the audience deserved to hear about the film. Kimmel called for security.
Security? Really?
Yeah. But Depp didn't wait. He just sort of dismissed himself with dignity, apologized to the audience, quickly plugged the film title, and walked off.
Wow. Maintaining composure right to the end, according to this.
Meanwhile, Kimmel was visibly fuming. The source claims he was caught on camera yelling at his crew during the extended commercial break that followed. When he came back, he gave this tense, brief explanation.
The mask fully off, even when he thought the main cameras were off.
The fallout, as you'd expect, was instant. Clips everywhere online.
Went viral, I bet.
Totally.
Yeah.
A lot of viewer reactions seemed to side with Depp, seeing him as having been unfairly targeted. The incident was framed as exposing the calculated artifice of late-night TV. The source concludes it kind of reinforced views for Depp's supporters, but the repercussions for Kimmel were potentially quite severe. Network meetings, sponsors getting nervous.
That makes sense. Advertisers don't usually like that kind of messy, uncontrolled controversy.
And the broader point the source makes is that it exposed something maybe toxic about celebrity culture and the media machine. How controversy gets confused with content, conflict gets confused with conversation.
Yeah, the pressure for clicks and viral moments potentially overriding basic respect or journalistic ethics, even in entertainment.
So, wrapping this account up,
Hmm.
it really paints this stark picture, doesn't it? A guest wanting to talk about their work, and a host allegedly going for confrontation, maybe for ratings or buzz.
It definitely makes you question the motivations behind these interactions. What's the real goal? Is it promotion? Is it conversation? Or is it just extracting drama?
Yeah. What does this whole count make you, the listener, think about how these interviews work? Does it change how you see them at all?
And it leaves us with this thought. Could a confrontation like the one described here signal some kind of shift? Maybe it's celebrities feeling more empowered to push back against tactics they see as exploitative?
Or is it just a blip? A rare moment where the curtain got pulled back, but the game basically stays the same.
Right. And what are the long-term consequences when these clashes happen so publicly? For the stars, for the hosts, for the media itself? Something to think about.